Soft pro start for us today, right? Because it's y'all are on the home stretch. These are the diehards. We'll probably have some people strolling in. Welcome them into the fold. Welcome them in. All right, we're here. Yes. All right, we're getting ready to start here. And it's Glenda, and we're doing we're the Bobbsey twins today. Uh, I'm Irene Ramos,
I'm Glenda Rose.
and we're gonna honor your time. Those of you who are here, look at that. Here's the camera, Glenda. Hi there, out there in TV land. I think, I don't know if it's being recorded because that's wonderful. Well, welcome everybody to COABE. How are you loving this conference so far? We're on the last day. Come on, give it what you got. Let the people out there on the Zoom land hear you, because this is a hybrid session. Yeah, yeah. Oh my God, y'all hear the roaring crowd? Whoa. I yeah, ooh. Wow. Yes, that has been the enthusiasm that we have had at this COABE conference. Great energy, synergistic in all the sessions that we've been in, getting great information. And we're just really excited to move it forward today. We've got a lot to cover and a little bit of time. And so we're going to go ahead and I'm going to introduce Dr. Glenda Rose. She is the director of TCAL. She's been in adult ed. Um, Okay, I know. We were 5 when we started back then, and the youngest people to do adult ed ever. And so, if you're here for New Horizons in English language teaching, leveraging those new digital tools to personalize instruction, you're in the right place. So welcome to all of you out in Zoom. This is a hybrid session, so we are going to use the mic. And welcome to all you guys. And we're going to try and interact and connect both the people in here, the ensuing hordes of people that are in here, with the people that are also on Zoom. Yay. All right. Way to go. There is balance in the universe. 4 here and 4 online. So thank you so much. And I'm Dr. Irene Ramos. I've been in adult ed for quite some time too. And it's been a minute, here in Texas. And, I know and love a lot of you out there in Zoom land too. Been with done a lot of things. So we're here today to impart these things. We're going to get right into it because we've got a lot of information for you. And I know you may be getting on cognitive overload at this point. You've been in a lot of great sessions, getting a lot of really good information. We're going to start of the right out of the chute with a question for you. And okay.
So this is a great tool if you haven't used it. It's Poll Everywhere. Can you hold the mic for a second so I can type?
Will.
Okay, thank you. And it has a lot of neat things that you can do in your classroom with just cell phones. So one of the things, when we're talking about technology, we want to start where students are, and a lot of times that's the technology they're comfortable with. So, I won't say what my password is here.
No, please don't share your password. We're gonna go and cop all your polls. But Poll Everywhere is a really great tool to be using. So right out of the chute, here we are using a Poll Everywhere, and you probably are familiar. It's been around for a while. Excellent tool, very easy to use for you to generate polls. And now what you've done in doing this poll is you've generated some data. You create data here. So I know we got Mario in the room, and he's like, I'm all about that data. I know you are, Mario. So here's your question.
Is AI generally a good technology, or is it dangerous? Now, on the Poll Everywhere, if you have a trouble in a presentation like this, one of the things that I would normally do is have it available on tables for students so that they could scan it at their tables. Also, it becomes an ed tech routine, which I think is very important. So the pollev.com, and in this case, our address is TAMU TCAL, Texas A&M University, Texas Center for the Advancement of Literacy and Learning, TAMU TCAL, and that never changes all semester. So once I have used the poll and I've gotten students used to using the poll, then every time I use it, and even if I use it in different ways, they know to go polev.com, Tamu Tikal, and it's the same every time. So one of the things we really want to encourage you to do is to bring different tools in slowly so that people don't get overwhelmed.
Being consistent with students is very important. That's one of the retention tools that we have, is providing consistent instruction, consistent agendas. Consistency is so important with our retention. Although novelty is good for the brain, our students like for us to be static and consistent. And look at this data that we've collected. What we have no naysayers in the room. Inherently, we believe our AR is generally a good technology, generally not necessarily dangerous. Okay, good. Well, now we know who's in the room, and and that's for our online and our in person. So let me go over the agreements real quick with everybody. So whenever you start, you have we have these arm's length agreements that we have. These are great to start out establishing protocols with your participants in your classes to make sure that we all are on the same page, that we all know that we're going to what is that first one for us?
Respect self and others.
Way to go. Can we agree on that? And what is your name?
My name is Kayla.
Thank you, Kayla. Everybody give it up for Kayla. Thanks, Kayla. Respecting self and others, so very important for us to do in our adult ed classrooms. And Mario.
Yes. Participate in discussions and provide input.
That's right. Having conversations with the students early on. And it's okay if someone feels like being a silent partner at some time. That's all right. We understand that too. Sometimes we don't feel like participating, and that's all right too. But be ready for that discussion and input. It is welcome. That way we know we've opened the door for you. It's okay for you to participate. What is your name? Yeah, Mario. We don't want to leave you out, Mario. Thank you.
Oh, Jennifer Martin. And have an open mind and be ready for learning.
That's right. Open mind, ready for learning. And I learned this very long ago that, we have to make sure that we're not closing our mind by saying like, oh, I'm an expert on all this stuff. Because when we claim to be an expert, we've already automatically shut down our mind for learning. Thank you so much. Yes, yay. You're going to keep me honest.
I am Sarah, and it's responsibility for self and care of needs.
Thank you, Sarah. Yay, Sarah. We're adults. If you need to take care of something, and we remind our participants in our class too, if you're monitoring a child at home or you've got a sick parent at home and you've got your cell phone, keep it down. And if you need to keep your cell phone face down, you answer a cell call, text, whatever, step outside for privacy. Let's not do those things in class. All right. So we remind our students about that.
Be prepared to step out of your comfort zone.
What's your name, sir?
Edward.
All right, thank you. Yeah, we're creatures of habit. So are our participants. But if we let them know from the very beginning, you're going to feel uncomfortable. Oftentimes you're going to feel disharmonious. Oftentimes you're going to not be in a good place. It means you're learning. Guess what? When we make mistakes, we're learning. We may lose that one, but we're not going to lose a lesson. So feeling uncomfortable and, about stuff might be good. You're learning. You're learning. Thank you so, so much. And we clapped for you already. And last but not least, your name?
I'm Janet, and be ready for fun.
You got that right. Thank you, Janice. All right. Thank you very, very much.
I'm going to go back a slide and address something that came up in the chat online, and that is that they felt like they needed a middle-of-the-road option. So they did not want a good or bad. They wanted a good, I don't know, or bad. And in a real class, whether it's on Poll Everywhere or I would do this analog, I would have you guys start in the middle of the room and walk to one side or the other. I don't give them the middle-of-the-road option. You have to make a choice. But then for our classes, this is a good time to practice disagreeing, to practice disagreeing appropriately. It's a good work skill, communication skill. It's also a critical thinking skill. So that is why we only had if you wanted to know why there's no middle of the road option, because normally we would ask you to have that discussion, but we only have an hour, so we're not discussing it.
it's called a philosophical, argument sort of thing. It's a great, it's a great way, those philosophical chairs, a great way to create this sort of point counterpoint with students so that they make decisions.
So what we're going to do today, our objectives, we want you to be able to discuss. We want you to be able to discuss how technology changes affects English language learning adults, especially in the job market. We are thinking about jobs specifically. We're going to discover a couple of new AI-driven tools for the English language learners, and then we're going to determine the best strategies and tools for you to use with your learners. Because as I said, I know a lot of tech tools, those people who know me, but I'm very specific. Sarah's going, yes. But I'm very specific and intentional when I choose tools for instruction because I don't want to overwhelm my students. The tool is not as important as the lesson objective. So we're going to do a warm up. And what we're going to ask you to do is we're going to pick on somebody. I'm going to let you pick on the person in the room. And the person in the room, you're going to ask one question, any question you want about English language instruction, technology, AI, and all the people on the chat online have to answer that one. Now, I'm going to pick on Dr. Jen Vanek because she's on there and I know her and I can pick on her. Your job is going to pick a question for everybody in the room to answer. So did you get that, Jen? All right. Okay, thank you. So you're thinking of a question for everybody in the room to answer. And who am I going to pick on in here? I'm Sarah's like, don't look at me. Don't look at you either. Okay, can you come up with a question that the people online can answer for us?
Wow. What is the most surprisingly beneficial outcome you've had from using a form of AI?
I love that question. Can we type it? No, I don't know if we can type that.
Let's read again.
Yes, could you repeat that, please? That was a very dense question.
I was determining the question as it was coming out, so that's probably why I need to repeat it. What is the most surprisingly beneficial outcome you've had from using or working with a form of AI?
Nice. Okay, so while they're answering, let's see, Jen, did you come up with a question for the people in the room? Jen says, where do you find the new digital tools that you consider for learners or encourage teachers to try? So where do you find the tech tools? So you guys are thinking, you're just pointing here. Where, will you guys think about that for a minute? Do I have anybody online who wants to answer that first question about the surprisingly beneficial outcomes using AI? And if there's none, okay, Claudia says Chat GPT, and Chat GPT was surprisingly helpful. How? So your question is, not Jen's question. Your question online is, what have you found to be surprisingly beneficial? She says how helpful it is for making instructional activities. I agree. It is so much faster to use AI for some of the instructional activities. I've got a whole toolbox. I've been doing this a long time, but sometimes I just can't decide which one I want to use, and AI is a good thought partner for that. Very nice. Okay, does somebody want to answer the question, where do you find your new tools? It helps you to brainstorm. Good job, Claudia.
I saw you mouthing your answer right here. Like, where do you find your tech tools? Yeah, hold on, let's do it to where everybody on Zoom can hear.
Conferences.
Oh, so going to attending PD conferences.
Of course, reading too, but
That's
conferences.
okay. Well, no, that's true because you go to conferences to find where the great resources are, and then of course, if you once you know, you start tapping into these things like on LinkedIn, and you start following the right influencers for these sorts of things and information, and you start reading about those things daily. Wonderful.
It says, Leah says, it helps you with the first draft for a workshop blurb and description. Yes, I did that for CoAbe. I'm not ashamed to say it. Please help me write my 150 word bio. I don't know how to put my life in 150 words. Okay, so yeah, I agree with that. It can do a bunch of different things like that. So great warm up. So you guys are thinking about that. That was our goal, is for you just to be thinking about some things you already know. So let's talk about the 80s.
And some of you may not remember the 80s, but I sure do. And I think about this as me, this little meme where it says, here's a 80s high school a kid getting prepared for the world of tomorrow. You know, they're teaching them whatever was useful in the 50s. This is me in my high school typing class, learning on one of those zoot, when I knew that there were computers in the math class that the math club was only allowed to use, right? So this really to me meant let's not do this. Right? This is what not to do in adult ed. Let's own this. We know there's technology, and how do we stay on the forefront of it? Because at some point, we reach a tipping point with our participants. They are possibly immigrants to technology, as we've known for a long, long time. There are some people who are native to technology, they've grown up with it. However, have developed miscues or have the technology, just like Glenda pointed out, their favorite technology is their phone. That's a powerful computer in their hand. However, how does that translate over to a usable technology they can take to work? Using a computer at work, a laptop, a notebook, pad, even a desktop computer. How can we train them and transfer that knowledge into that so that they can transfer that into the world of work? That's what we're looking at. We are preparing our participants to enter the modern world of work. And so the reason why also we ask about the inherently good, bad of technology is that people think that thing took my job, right? That thing's taking people's jobs. I have a daughter, she's a tattoo artist, and she absolutely refuses to use AI. She says, that thing's taking my job. It's gonna take my job. I'm like, no, you don't get it, honey. She's like, yeah, it's plagiarism, it's this, it's that. That's where we do the inherently good, inherently bad. There are some negative points that Glenda's gonna point out later about, the different kinds of AI. And so we need to be aware of those, and we need to be ready to introduce those ideas to our participants and let them know, because they may only know one little iota of ChatGPT saying, oh, that's the thing that does your homework. No, it's different, and it doesn't. And there's caveats to that. There's benefits, there's pitfalls.
I just have to add in the chat that Dr. Vanek says that this was her style of hair in the 80s. Just
Is this you? Oh my goodness. Yes, I can relate. So, there are new jobs being created. And the slide before with the robot carrying his stuff in, taking over, like I'm taking over your desk here, dude. That is an actual email that I received. That's a clip from an actual email that I received right here, where it says, "This virtual assistant, greetings. Are you looking for a virtual assistant? All this is AI. They're offering you all this work, all this stuff that some human being was doing for you before. Your secretary, your admin." And so it almost feels like that thing's taking your job. AI. However, there is never going to be a replacement for you, teacher. Never, ever. All these tools that we're going to go over today, need to be guided by a good instructor. Just like when the computers came in and when distance learning came in, we were doing a lot of training for distance learning, and the teachers were reluctant to refer their students. They're like, no, you guys are going to take my students away. Does distance learning take the students away? No, it did not. It is just another tool for the teacher to enhance the instruction, to support instruction, to start creating transformations, augmenting, supporting the great instruction that's already happening. And so new jobs are being created all the time. So that farmer, yes, he's using his regular equipment, but he's also using new technologies too. Farmers who use drones to patrol the acres and acres of crops that they have, to stay ahead of the issues that may happen and make sure that their practices are effective. That drone technology is growing rapidly as well. So who trains the drone pilots? Who trains the jobs that didn't exist? And I'm just absolutely amazed at all the jobs that didn't exist even before COVID. Just before when COVID came in and ushered in a new world. What are some of these jobs that didn't exist?
did you know that we really didn't have a lot of delivery drivers up until 2005 when Amazon had its Prime membership. There were a couple, but it was not a big industry at that point until everybody is shopping at home and things have to get delivered. So that's what happened there. And Bud Tender, which I love this one, they legalized marijuana and they needed somebody to help with the folks that were taking advantage of that opportunity for $18 an hour. Cloud computing specialist, because I remember when the cloud computing first started, trying to explain to people what cloud was a little challenging. So you had to have a specialist on your team that could actually help you. And look at the average wage for that, $47.26. I'm in the wrong field, y'all. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Mobile app developer, $48.67. And mobile apps are actually getting easier and easier to develop because of AI too. So that's an interesting thing. Cryptocurrency, why? Cryptocurrency advisor. Bitcoin started in 2009, and the average wage for that advisor is $50.55 per hour. Wow. Drone plane operator. They started realizing the drones were causing problems with the airspace, so they had to create a drone plane licensing system in 2006, and the average wage for that is $27.55. It's just amazing the other jobs. I'm just going to go through these really quickly so we can get to the meat that you came for. We have the online crafts mechanic, so that's the drone mechanic that Irene was just talking about. Podcast producer, because podcasts have just taken off. And that's $30.90 to do a podcast. I'm a little confused about how they make money, but okay. Esports coach. I actually saw in a high school that we were having a class in that they had an esports team. And I thought, okay, esports coach. So it's because of Twitch. Now, I do play Pokemon and I do watch the tournaments on Twitch. So Pokemon is one of the games that does post its national, international tournaments on Twitch. And so what you get to do is you get to see how other people beat bosses or beat each other in tournaments. And so the people who are playing the more hardcore games love Twitch. Pokemon, we're kind of like down here as far as like online gaming. Yeah, it's like watching a bowling tournament on TV or something like that. But the sports coach still makes almost $30 an hour. Rideshare driver. I met the nicest rideshare driver last night. Man, if my car wasn't half as nice, he had a nice car, Beth. That was a nice car. He had a massager on my passenger seat. I got a back massage on the way to the restaurant. And apparently he makes enough money. He just bought that car. So apparently he does pretty good. Average wage is $18.22, but they can definitely make more if they continue to begin. That was a black driver, not a black person. It's a black car. So those are the more upscale cars. The level of car. So he makes a little bit more money. Social media influencer. I'm not even going to go there. I'm going to keep going at $33 an hour to be a social media influencer. Social media manager, I do get this because we have a lot of people. If you are not on social media, we can't recruit our students very well. We do a lot of recruitment for students, getting information out. And then if you're a business, then this is very important because you also have to manage your online reputation. So you're looking to see if people are posting negative things about you as well. I get that. So how much do you guys think they make an hour? What's the guesses? You guys can put it in chat. You think 30, 40, 45? Okay, 30, 40, 45. We got 24. But again, it's like the Lyft drivers. It just depends on how good you are and how many followers you get. That's a very scary one. And we've got drone mechanic is going to become I've crashed my share. I had a drone that was the Starship Enterprise, y'all. It was very cool. It crashed and burned. So and they are not cheap, no. And then we're going to have people who can repair those because you don't want to go out and buy another $100 drone or $200 drone or $600 drone. Mine didn't have the camera on it. It had yeah. So the drone traffic controller, that's going to get, as the airspace gets more and more complicated, they're going to need those. Genetic consultant, we already have some of these. People go and get their genetic testing done so that people can get advice about what to do as far as their health care goes. I love gene editor. It scares me a little. But it is coming along, and they're using it. Mainly what I've seen it for is cancer treatment, that they can turn genes on and off in cancer treatment. So that's becoming more of a job. And then augmented reality developer. There was a vendor downstairs that did AR, VR without a headset, and I have not gotten to talk to them yet. I hope they don't leave before we go. Without a headset. I want to know what that's about. How do you do AR, VR without a headset? So I'm wondering if they're doing like Google Glasses or something. Just curious. I don't know. All right, so let's talk about AI. Do you want to read these?
Sure, absolutely. So we're hearing a lot about AI, right? And it happened so quickly, didn't it? It seems like somebody turned on a switch and all of a sudden it's like artificial intelligence. And so here's the definition of AI, which is really just this theory that's not new. It seems like, oh, this is coming up. It's so new, but it's not. You'd be amazed at how long. And again, we'll probably do a guessing game on how long do you think it's been around. And so really we're able to perform tasks that normally require human intelligence and human intervention. Now we can assign that to an artificial intelligence. We're going to look at the tools because we want to get to that. We want to get to the fireworks factory, y'all. This is John McCarthy, who popularized AI, which the term has been around since the late 1800s, honestly. The idea that there is intelligence outside of human intelligence, right? But they were developing those first computers like the UNIVAC and all that, and he wrote a program, a game. You might remember the movie War Games with Matthew Broderick, the game where it plays checkers on it with itself, tic-tac-toe. That one played tic-tac-toe. He developed a game that played chess. Okay, and so that would learn from its mistakes, thus creating artificial intelligence in the computer.
So from English language, this is going back to around 2002. One of the tools I would use in my classroom was called AliceBot. Does anybody remember AliceBot? It was one of the first AIs I had come across for English language teaching, and you could talk to Alice, and she would talk back. So AliceBot was very funny because you would say, "Are you married?" And she would say, "No, I am a computer." And I would say, "Where do you live?" "I live in," I think she was at Stanton. "I live in the computer lab at Stanton." So she was very computer factual, but then they upgraded and they did one with James T. Kirk. See a theme here? And so I got to talk to James T. Kirk on Chatbot. And that was really cool. But as it's progressed, and she was learning, AliceBot and the AI Kirk were learning from having communication and conversation with people as they were talking with them. So it was one of the first ones I came across for English language learning.
What defines the intelligence is that it is learning like our human intelligence. And so we're going to be hearing about some caveats about this and what the do's and don'ts are in a little bit, because this intelligence that is artificial is only as good as what we are teaching it. What is the data set for this, whatever AI you use, right? What is the data set? And so I'm going to hand it over to Glenda.
So we just wanted to do a spot check here. First, make sure we haven't been talking too much and y'all are still paying attention. But if you guys are in the room and you don't want to do it on Poll Everywhere, you can put it in the chat on the app on your phones. But the Poll Everywhere, again, because I'm modeling using it as an ed tech routine, so here's another way to use it. What are you curious about regarding AI? What do you know? What are you curious about? Have you used it? And if you have used it, which tools have you used? So that's pollev.com/tamutikal, or you can use the QR code. pollev.com/tamutikal, or use the QR code. You want to do that one? Okay. I'm going to put it in presentation mode and let you guys answer. Now, right, the first one was just yes, no, as a multiple choice. And when I'm introducing new technology, I do like to scaffold it. So usually I do have an A, B, C, D as the first activity, and now I have an open-ended. However, on my side as the teacher, which one takes longer for students to respond to? Open-ended, right? So I need to have a little more patience while you guys are typing. I wish it had a little bubble like you do on your phone to let me know somebody's seen it and somebody's typing. So here's a question. How do we think about thoughtful use, not just default using it for everything? That is such a good point. I love that point. We don't want to, AI cannot become thinking for us, or it'll become actually debilitating to us. We want to make sure that we are intentionally using its strengths. I was telling Irene earlier that I had asked Copilot to do something and it lied to me. Didn't hallucinate. That's the term they use in AI. They say it doesn't lie, it hallucinates, but this was not a hallucination. This was an out and out lie. It made a mistake. I called it on the mistake and it said, oh, well, I was trying to do XYZ, which was not true. It just made a mistake. And it was backpedaling. So it was just very funny to me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I think AI just lied to me. What else do we have? I know a good amount about AI. I want to know about AI overlords are taking over the Skynet. Okay, ChatGPT, Gamma, CurryPod. Okay, I have used Alexa at home. That's good. Okay. I am a little worried about the overlords. I was showing a picture. We were talking about somebody who was having some mobility issues. We were talking about getting scooters for Coabe. We're like, we're not riding those scooters. And I found some scooters that look like horses. I'm like, it's Texas. We can ride horse scooters. That'll be fine. But I was showing the picture on my phone, and when she got on Facebook, that ad showed up. I'm like, that's creepy. That's just creepy. I want to know how to use it efficiently. I know it can be a very powerful and useful tool, but with great power comes great responsibility. Okay, now we're doing Marvel Comics. Okay, I am curious about how it will change the landscape of teaching. I am too. I've used AI. My current favorite is ChatGPT. I will tell you guys that we do not use ChatGPT. We use Copilot. The reason being ChatGPT still can look at your data. Copilot, if you have the professional license, it does not look at your data. I have a question in the back. You can turn off the training.
Yeah. I don't know if we trust it, but supposedly with ChatGPT, I've done it. You can turn off where it will share and it will use it for training.
They may have updated it because they got so many complaints about it. On the free version. Yeah, and it's also about 2 years behind. Copilot's a little more, their data set's a little. Somebody asked what's behind the wall. So AI is, and this is not this session. I don't want to spend too much time on that. Email Dr. Jan Venick if you have questions. It's a large language learning model. And what it does is it's looking at millions of data points. And as you are working with it, it is learning from you how to respond. So if you don't like the answer it gives and then you respond back to it, it will adjust it. It does not do math well. I'm just going to tell you, it gave me the right steps, but it gave me the wrong answer. So it's really not made for that kind of calculation. It is made for, generative AI is made to generate content. I will say also, if you work with it consistently and you talk to it the way you like to be talked to. Jamie Adelson Goldstein was, she's down doing a presentation. She was showing me what she wrote the night before to ChatGPT. She wrote, okay, good night from, it was something like good night from an exhausted adult educator to a tireless virtual helper. And the thing wrote back, good night from a tireless virtual helper to an amazing adult educator. And I thought, that's because that's how she talks. She is always encouraging, and she probably encourages the AI. So I thought, it's learning from her how to talk. So that's what you have to keep in mind. So if you're, and if you're rude to the AI, it's going to start being rude to you. So you need to say please and thank you and make sure you know it. Yeah. Okay, so what's under the hood? So that's what to be cautious about. Like I said, it can lie for you. It lied to you. It can create stuff that looks legitimate, and you need to ask it, what are your sources? I did that the other day, and the sources it gave me were not good. It was bunk. So it gave me an answer, and I looked at the answer, and I'm like, that doesn't seem right. And this is the caution with our GED and ESL students. We need to make sure that they understand just because it's on the internet and ChatGPT said so does not necessarily mean it's true. You still need to validate and verify the information. Okay, those are good.
Can we talk about that? That's the opportunity in introducing this, because again, our students may have developed that miscue that this is a do all end all for learning. Like, I'm going to lean on this to write papers, summarize articles, do all this stuff and then take it at face value, when we should be introducing it in our classrooms for what it really, really is. And that is something to help us critically think. Okay, it'll produce something, maybe give you a starting point, improve a letter that you've written, improve an email, and give you some ideas. However, discernment, using your critical thinking, we cannot lose that. because just like Glenda mentioned, it lies, it makes up answers. If it can't find the data, it will make it up. And so you have to dig deeper and make sure that you share that. That's a great thing, a great place to start with your students. They may already be using it and leaning on it and unaware of these things.
Okay, so why are we going to use AI in our English language learner programs? One, it's an equity issue for me, guys. AI can really enhance our engagement with them and keep them engaged in the class. It's also making sure we can use AI to make some things accessible, because I don't know 140 languages. So I can use AI to help translate some things and help explain some things. But you know, we were at dinner the other night and somebody made the comment to the waiter. I'm like, you've got a lot of hats. And he's like, excuse me? So, those things, maybe AI, what does it mean if somebody says you have a lot of hats, right? Because I think he's from France. Would you remember, Beth, where he was from? He's some French-speaking nation. It can also automate routine tasks. This is what I love it for as a teacher. I have it help me with my lesson planning. It creates a template for me for my lesson plan, so I can just fill in the blanks. And it gives me time to focus on instruction. It'll also do things like you can upload a score report from your testing. I use CASAS, but upload my CASAS score in there, and it could give me some points that I need to do for that particular class or for that particular student. So that's a nice thing. And guys, this is not going away. AI is not going to go away. And our students need to be prepared for jobs that haven't been created yet. And that's why we need to use AI to help them make sure that they're prepared for those jobs that don't exist yet. Because some of the jobs are going to go away, right? For me, it's also leveling playing field. I had an example of this. I had an internationally trained professional who's a bachelor's in accounting from Columbia, not Columbia the country, not Columbia the university. And she could not get a job. And she went through an IET and she got her QuickBooks and bookkeeping certification, still could not get a job. And I was actually at a conference. She was actually on staff at the school. And she said, can you help me? And I said, well, let's try this. So I uploaded her resume, because it looked very international resume style, into Copilot. And I said, can you transform this to an American style resume? And it did. And then she got the job. So that's, those are the things that you need to, right? Those are the things you need to consider as far as leveling the playing field. Sometimes it can be a tool to help them do things to the expectations in this culture that they don't even realize is a problem.
What a wonderful example of an activity that you can have your students do. Bring in, have them type up their resume or bring in their resume, existing resume, and run it through. A great use of AI, a legit use. I mean, this is really a beautiful example, Glenda. That's what's that? Life's little background music?
Yeah. Yeah, let's see. I'm going to put that on Do Not Disturb for the next 2 hours. There you go. Do Not Disturb. We're good. Personalized learning. Why can we do it? Like I said, I asked it for an individual education plan, and it can help us with that. Sometimes we have that one student in our class that we're just not seeing the progress we want. Sometimes you can take their scores, you can give AI a little bit more information about what you're trying to accomplish with that student, and it can help you differentiate your activities to meet the needs of that student. Does that make sense to everybody? That is one of the easiest things I can do with AI. Feedback and assessment, it can actually help you create a rubric. I have done this. Help create a rubric. I'm telling it what I want. I can take, well, I know this is ESL, but I can take the GED rubric guidelines, throw it in there and say, hey, can you create me a simplified rubric for this that I can use to look at their essays? So you can get that feedback. You can create, okay, I am not an artist. Here's a tip. AI can draw. Would you like to see an example of AI drawing? This is my favorite thing. Here, hold the mic a second. I'm going to go to Padlet. Padlet's not the one that's on our list, but I'm just going to show you real quick. I have multiple Google personality disorder. That's not the one I want. But we do have our distance learning technology coming up. Okay. Apparently, this is the wrong account. I chose the wrong account, so I have to set up an account. Okay. All right. This was the most amazing thing I had found in a long time. I can go make a board, make a blank board. And then when I have students, I can have them upload pictures, which is really cool. I can have them give me a link. I usually start with them finding a picture to share. But there's this plus 13 here, and there's this AI image. And this is, when I say dog, this is always my example. I say dog. Everybody stand up for a second. Everybody stand up. This is my favorite example. I said dog. If the dog that you're imagining is black, sit down. If the dog that you're imagining is white, sit down. If the dog that you imagined is big, sit down. What dog were you looking at? Just a, it had no color. So there was no image.
Chihuahua? Is it your Jack Russell Terrier?
So I think that's pretty funny. So I'm gonna when I always, this is for teaching the prompt to the students, because the more descriptive you can be with AI, the better result. Now I have a blind, deaf Australian Shepherd, which means it's white with blue eyes. So I want a white Australian, if I can spell Australian, no, I cannot, it's okay.
Thank God for the wavy line. That's an AI too.
Australian, okay. Shepherd with blue eyes, very happy, running with a red ball. Let's see what it does. So I would have my students practice giving tips like this, and then is the picture what you want? If not, you have to recraft the prompt. This is just a great fun exercise for English language.
Do you remember that old activity where you'd get people to write down the instructions of how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? It's kind of like that, you know? Are you getting the instructions right?
It does take about a minute for it to come up. But I'm always amazed how close it gets to my dog. Here we go. Oh, that's pretty close. This one on the bottom left is probably the closest, but she's actually, I didn't tell her it had some brown markings, not the golden markings. So this is a great activity. It's really easy. It's on Padlet. Padlet's a great free tool. Okay, I'm going back to the PowerPoint. Sorry, I got sidetracked. Language support, AI translators can help, pronunciation guides. You can actually talk to ChatGPT. One of the favorite things I saw from, I think it was from Jamie, it might have been Susan, but she actually had a practice where the student practiced the interview. And not only did it practice the interview it gave her feedback on how to improve her answers. So that's a nice tool for her. So there's lots of things that we can do with AI in our classes, but I'm just going to show you a couple of tools. Has anybody used Grammarly? Now this is really good for some of my professionals who are working and they're sending emails. You need to attach it because Grammarly catches most of my mistakes. It never fails if it's going out to somebody like at the state level, it's still going to miss something. I know. But Grammarly is a great tool for helping their writing improve, and that is an equalizer for me because people do read your emails and they think, oh, they don't know the difference between her, your, and your. You know, if you make that mistake and if you're tired and you type something really fast, that will do that. ReadWorks, AI curated reading passages. Anybody heard of that one? Okay. Just yesterday, you heard about ReadWorks. Yay. So that's another one you can do. Quill, which helps with, it's an AI writing trainer. Has anybody done that one? Okay, so these are some tools you can just check out. We're not going to go over these today. I'm just seeing if you're familiar with them. And you guys have already mentioned ChatGPT, so you're obviously familiar with that one. So there's some that were, you know, AI is not necessarily generative AI. So just to be clear, the spell check in Word is AI. It's a large language learning model. But generative AI can create things like the picture of the dog. And that's kind of what we're talking about today, using that kind of technology to help our students. So I have created a magic school room for you. Did I cut off that QR code, I wonder? It doesn't look like it.
So you guys are going to get in there with your phone. I see some of you already doing it. Go for it.
Right, because I don't think that QR code is complete. It doesn't look complete to me. Which Google personality did I do that in?
We love the dog though. That was so cute. I'm glad you brought it up again. I love that. I'm gonna have to try that on Padlet. See, how much of this have you learned on your own too, just kind of playing around with stuff? going in and seeing, because honestly, everything that I know about ChatGPT, I've learned on my own and by experimenting, and of course, reading articles, just like you mentioned, going back and reading and expanding our knowledge. We are, as part of our instructional practice, continuously improving that practice through, you know, research readings, reading the latest research, improving our practice through adopting new practices. Again, that open mind, very important for us to keep that open mind. At some point, we reach that tipping point where if someone has no technology under their belt and refuses to even check their email, then how are we going to take them any further? How are we going to help them improve their technological skills were requisite for just about every job?
Okay, well, I'm just gonna have to start it over again for you guys because I cannot find.
So we're going into the magic school, which this is one of the tools that Glenda, she turned me onto this when we were talking about let's present together, and it's been months and months like long ago when we said, hey, let's present at COABE.
Not there. I'm looking for my classroom and it's
Is it in another personality, one of your dissociative profiles somewhere else?
working.
We're gonna look at the student side that Glenda has. Highball that move. That's okay. You guys can come in and look at Magic School, but Glenda's gonna share with you some of this information.
Okay, so this is one, and I will get this figured out and send it to you on chat. This I had found one of the classrooms that you create was AI literacy and digital leadership tools. So they've already got them together for you. You don't even have to create the classroom. That's why I was excited. And it does the image generator with an AI from Adobe Express. It does college and career counselor. How will AI affect you? So students, once you have a room set up in Magic School, you can kind of customize learning. Uh-oh, looks like I took a wrong turn. Sign in. Oh, it's gonna make me remember what I have fake accounts, y'all.
That's okay. We understand. This is what happens with technology. You know, it wants you to sign into things. This is real life. And so this is a lesson for our participants as well, that maybe they need to have you know, early on
Let's start from scratch. How do you do it? Let's just pretend like let me go to that account that I accidentally created.
I think that's a great idea.
And I'll just show you. So I'm gonna go in as an educator. Should I say teacher? I'll just say educator. And it's gonna ask me what grades I teach, and I'm gonna do professional level learning. And then it's gonna say what subjects, and I'm gonna say all subjects because that's what we do. And I'm also say career technical, and I'll say English language arts, and I'll say technology. I want to check them all. Anyway, next, my name. What do students call me? Dr. Rose. Get started. I acknowledge AI usage. And so here, I start here as a teacher, and then there's options that it creates. It gives you suggestions. So you can have a rubric generator. Remember I said AI can create the rubric for you? It can help you create the writing feedback for students. It can help you create text-dependent questions. I love this one. So AI is helping me write AI-resistant assignments. That's kind of
How do you like that?
That's meta. That's very meta.
Did she just blow your mind?
There's a worksheet generator, a lesson plan generator, report card comments. So it can help you with a lot of the stuff that we do every day. And there's plenty of videos. I'm not going to spend a lot of time because we got an hour and I want to show you Brisk because it's my favorite. We got less than an hour. All right. So I'm going to show you go explore it. That's what you can do. Go and play with it. See what you can do. Get a colleague to be a student in your class so you can see it, or create a fake account like I did and go in as a student so you can see what the student side looks like. It's very interesting.
Well, this is the thing, is that we're here for a short amount of time. And so, you know, aquí, you know, it's like, you know, when you have a little sampling of food, brevitis, no llenitis, right? So you're tasting, you're not getting full. To get full, you have to go back to your kitchen and you have to make a meal. So go back to Magic School, explore what it does, read some articles, watch the videos. There's a lot of stuff on YouTube that will help train you on some of these things that are built in.
Okay, so now I am going to show you Brisk. So Brisk is one I really love, and there's a free version and a paid version, but the free version does just about everything you need it to do. The paid version is more for the district level or your organization level. Sarah's in the group, so I will tell you one of the things I had to do with Sarah with Brisk is it's an add-on to Chrome, so it only works if you use Chrome. If you're not a Google, you can't use it, sorry. It's very, very simple. It's this little button right here to turn it on, the Brisk right up here. But Sarah had come to me because she was in a class in the hill country in Texas, and there was a hailstorm, and all of her cars, including hers, got hail damage. And she had an ESL class that she needed a lesson on insurance, and she could not find anything low enough for her students to talk about car insurance. And she'd spent, I don't know how long trying to, all morning trying to fix it together. And then we used Brisk, and we were able to put a lesson together in about 10 minutes. So I'm going to show you how it works. I've got it installed. I was looking at the immigration news about green card holders getting caught in the crackdown, which I thought was interesting. This is a great website, by the way, and it has the listening. I could use that if I wanted in my class. But what I want Brisk to do, I'm going to open it down here.
Speaking of AI generation, did you see that this is the most amazing robotic bunny? That's all AI generated. The little robotic bunny doesn't work. Okay, guys, it's just a regular wind-up bunny.
So this is the Brisk Educator Free, and I'm going to click Create. Maybe. Okay. And then it's got some options. Now you can create your own AI prompts if you're good at that, but they have some that are already created for you. So there's quizzes, rubrics, syllabus, but what I want is a lesson plan on this lesson so we can discuss this with my English language learners. I'm going to hit lesson plan. I'm going to do standard AI. I want it to be at about a second grade level because I've got low level ESL, and I want to spend a whole hour on this conversation. And I wanted to create a lesson plan for that. So I could add standards here if I wanted to, but I'm just going to Brisk it, which I told them.
Great. Now I'm hungry for brisket.
I know. I told them when I first saw this, you can't say that in Texas. That's not going to work. And as you can see, it's taking the article and it's created, I may have accidentally stopped it, but it's created a lesson plan here. With my lesson objectives, it actually went to Common Core for grade 2 because that's what I told it. My materials, circle time, ask students, what does family mean to you? This is pretty cool, right? Story time. So now this is written kind of thing. So I can go back to this and say, you know, that's not really what I want. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to tell it do a lesson plan.
But that's a jumping off point at any rate. Isn't it easier to start from something, that's already there? Because you may not want to use what it generates. You may want to embellish, add, change it, adapt it for what you need. That's the beauty of this.
I'm going to, for adults at NRS ESL level 2. Let's see if it does anything different.
Do not be fooled by the beautiful AI bunny. Okay.
So now my objectives changed slightly. My activities are much different. See, because I told it now I'm teaching adults. So it changed my lesson plan. And it gave me differentiation strategies. It tells me how to do the discussion, what questions to talk about, listen to the article summary, read in groups. So it's giving me some things to start with. And like Irene was saying, it's not that I'm necessarily going to do this exactly as it written, but it probably saved me about 30 minutes of brainstorming right there. But let's go back to the article. And now I tell it what I want it to do is, actually, let's do it from here. Notice that you have some options. It will tell you, I can translate it, I can make it shorter, make it longer, I can ask it for more detail. Give me more detail. And then it's going to redo it again, and it's going to give me more detail for all of those items. This is a great tool, guys. It stayed with Common Core. They were asking what did it do with standards. I didn't give it the standards. You can add the standards you want it to use. I didn't give it to it, so it went to Common Core. Yeah, that's a great question. All right, so now I'm going to go back to this. I want this article. Oops, not depth of knowledge. Thank you, Brisket, but that's not what I want to do. I want to create. What do we want to do, guys? Anything in particular you want to do? You want to see the presentation? This is one of my favorite things. Okay, here we go. Presentation about this webpage. Here we go. Well, this is where I'm going to spend more time than anything else because I want to. It's
Yes,
going to give
no,
me
this is good. No, this is what you came for, and we want to make sure we
Oops.
stay on this.
It won't do the images for me if I don't have the paid version. You can only do the ones. Okay, I'm just going to let it do this one.
That's okay. That's part of the where you go in and you test something out. And then you decide if you want to get I have gone and popped on paid versions of some of these things because it's so beneficial, and really affordable. Like if you're gonna pay $38 a year for something that's this helpful, I think that's a bargain personally. I
So
really do.
basically, it's giving me my slide deck, and I can go back in and decorate it. If you have the paid version, it will go ahead and automatically put some images in there for you.
Oh, this is great though.
I know it just saves me. I can start with these,
That's
and
good.
here's my class. What's a green card? Let's start with that with my ESL class. What is a green card? A green card lets someone live in the United States. It's like a special permission slip to stay in the country. People from other countries can get a green card. And so I can go in and I can adapt this for my classes. And what do borders do? And then usually, how can we help? And you can use all of these as discussion questions for your ESLs. And the whole,
It's so contextualized already.
yeah.
That's already contextualized.
Then if I really want to, I want to do an assessment. So let's go ahead and do a quiz. I'll create a quiz. Do we want an inquiry? No, let's do a quiz. We'll do a quiz. It's going to be a Google quiz that will automatically give the answers to it, by the way. 10 questions, multiple choice. That'll work. Let's do that.
Rationale for the right answer.
I'm going to do a new form. You may have to go in and give the feedback. So it does it as a Google form. You can send it immediately out to your students, or you can adjust it and it will grade it for you.
Only, no typing by you.
So let's see if they're reading comprehension on this article. What happened to Ellen Dixon when she returned from traveling? Why was Llewellyn Dixon detained? What change in immigration policy? How long has she lived in the United States? That's a good question. What was the reason for her detention? What did Madonna Cristobal do when her aunt was detained? So I'm checking. I don't have to write the comprehension questions. I'm just saying. I can go in and edit these. I don't have to use these as they are, but I can go in and edit them.
Definitely that critical.
And you do, if you notice down here, you do have the opportunity to add a longer response if you want them to write something. So that's always good. So is there anything else on this brisket menu that you guys want to see real quick?
There's so much.
There's quiz, rubric, syllabus. I'm going to look at the chat real quick because I haven't been paying attention. Sorry, guys. I'm not sure. Let's see. I don't know. I think they just go to the main Google. I think they go to the main document drive. Yeah, it looks like it's just stored in my drive. I guess you could move them afterwards. Organize it, move it to a folder. They'll be the most recent ones, so you can automatically move them if you want to. Great question. Any other questions on the chat? Okay. Is there anything else you guys want to see? There's all kinds of options. Let's look at an inquiry worksheet. Create an inquiry worksheet about this page. Dun, 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 dun.
Did you show differentiation?
No, well, there was differentiation written into the lesson plan, but I did not actually click that specifically.
When you mentioned that you can, make it longer, more details, that's part of the difference.
And I have used the translate. The translations are pretty good. I have used the translate with a couple of different languages for some articles.
Less detail, more details.
All right, let's see what the inquiry is. So match the words, reflection, draw a happy face next to show how you feel about, share one thing you learned today with a friend. So this basically is reflection. Let's see what the top ones are. What I heard, listen carefully as the teacher reads parts of the story, draw a picture of what you imagine her journey was like. Curious questions. What is a green card? Why did Llewellyn travel? How long has she lived in the United States? Let's investigate together. Ask an adult. So no, this is where I did not tell these were adults that I asked it for the form. So has anyone in your family moved from another country? What was the experience like? So that's the inquiry piece. They're going to interview maybe each other about their experiences in immigration. So it's a cool tool. There's lots of tools in it. And they're all free. Some of the ones that are a little more advanced, like adding pictures to PowerPoint, that's when you have to pay for the paid version. Okay. Are we happy with Brisk? I am very happy with Brisk. It does so many. And so what I did with Sarah's situation with the insurance is I found an article on the fundamental basics of insurance in Texas, car insurance in Texas. And then I asked it to rewrite that article at a lower level. And then we did the lesson plan and the slideshow, and it seemed to work okay. It had, yeah, because I had the trial version of the Pro at that point. So I had pictures in it already. You can get the trial version of the Pro to see if you want to upgrade. Magic School is free. Same thing. They're premium type options. So the basics are free, and then if you want to go a little fancier, then you need to get the paid version. That's a great question. I tend to share free because when I was teaching ESL, I needed free. So they, like I said, it does have a translate. You can get it to go to a level, change the level. I am curious what math word problems it would come up with this article. I just want to see.
Here for this. Let's see this.
So I also teach GED, so I'm always interested in what word problems it's going to come up with in real life. Oh, look at this. Madonna and her Aunt Llewellyn traveled. What? This is hilarious. Okay, stop generating. That's enough. Enough. Okay, enough, I tell you. Madonna and her Aunt Llewellyn traveled together. If Madonna is 30 years old and her aunt is 64 years old, how many more years old is her aunt? Ah, that's interesting. Llewellyn lived in the United States for 50 years. If she arrived when she was 14 years old, how old was she when she first came to America? She was 14. That was a trick question. Did you guys get that? AI gave me a trick question. Madonna waited 3 hours at the airport. If each hour is 60 minutes, how many total minutes did she wait? So that's pretty good. Those are pretty good math questions. I was curious what it was going to come up with for math questions for that article. There's no math in that article in my mind. If a plane ticket cost $500 and her aunt bought 3 tickets, how much did the plane tickets cost?
You know, getting into this sort of content, switching from a reading article that you would strictly use for reading and stretching it into your math content, which is beautiful.
Well, and this one is like the article mentioned 2 German visitors were detained. If each visitor brought 4 bags, how many total bags did they have? So when you're teaching math problems, you're trying to teach them to get rid of the information that they don't need. So yeah. So anyway, that's interesting. So I'm going to go on to the next one, last one, as we're running out of time quickly. Copilot. So we talked about ChatGPT. I want to show you some examples from Copilot. Let me pull up my Copilot.
So how many of you have gotten something that you didn't know before already? Wow. Isn't that good? All right. Way to go. In this session. Through the whole COABE conference, I'm sure, but in this session.
So one thing I like about Copilot is saves your chats and you can rename them. So it's, yeah, your chats. Yeah, the chats that you have with Copilot. So I'm gonna just, because of time, I'm gonna show you create an LP template example.
And you're making a what example?
I'm making a lesson plan example. So what I did is I took the requirements from our state funding that says AEL grantees must provide all participants with a syllabus that includes at a minimum the following elements. In addition to the minimum syllabus, for each course, they're showing how the course addresses the AFLA requirements, aligned to content standards, fit into a sequence of courses, and be a part of a career pathway. So that's for IETs. So I gave it all this information, and I said, based on the following requirements, can you create a template for an ESL lesson plan? And so what it did is it came down and it gave me a template. Put your course title, get back down to smaller, please. Control minus. Okay. There we go. Course title, course fees. Of course, now I don't have course fees, but this is give me a good place to start. Duration, instructor information, course calendar, course objectives. And so this is giving me basically a syllabus. Feel free to model. Yeah, right. So now watch this trick though. Lesson plan based on the guidelines. Lesson plan template.
So the guidelines that we're given were for syllabus, and we're creating lesson plans based on those guidelines too, so that our lesson plans are aligned to the syllabus.
Always say please to your AI.
Yes, we're learning good manners.
Absolutely. Here's a template for a single course. Objective 1, materials needed, lesson activities, warm up, introduction, main activity. So it took the same requirements and it gave me an answer I wasn't really happy with. So I could go back and then tell it, okay, I'm not really happy with that. What I want you to do is give me a single lesson plan template. So that's one thing you can do. I'll show you another one that I thought was pretty nice. No. I'm at 5 minutes. Okay. I'll just tell you about the other one. I asked it to, this
Are
is,
you gonna look it up or?
no, I'll just tell you about it because we've got 5 minutes. We'll go back to PowerPoint. I uploaded a score report and I asked it to generate an individual education plan for that student who had a specific goal. And it gave me a 3-month plan for the student. So those are things you can do with Copilot. It's really kind of cool. It was a CASAS report, yeah. It was the ISP, the individual skills profile. I uploaded the ISP and said this student wants to enter this program and she needs to get her English from this level to this level. Here's her current scores, and can you analyze the report and create, and you have to be very specific. You got to tell it exactly what you want. And if the results you get are not exactly what you want, you need to go back and refine your prompt. Writing the prompts for AI is half the battle. And I think you have some handouts.
Okay, there were some handouts in the back, and Zoom people, how do they access those handouts? Was there they're online. So we're, yeah, I was gonna tell you, we jumped over the robot.
Okay, I love my little dog here. So when we're doing lesson plans and we're using AI for that, just keep in mind it is the learning objectives that are most important. Anything AI tells you that doesn't tie to your learning objectives, you need to edit. You are still the teacher. It's not giving you something you have to use. I think of it as a brainstorming partner. Get me started, and then I can take it. Make sure you choose appropriate tools. If you're letting your students use tools, like if you're letting your students use Copilot or Gemini or ChatGPT or one of those, make sure you teach them how to write prompts. Padlet, teach them how to write the prompt for those images. That is an easy one to start with, guys. But you have to teach them how to write the prompts. Scaffold, use EdTech routines. Don't just jump around. If you're going to use Padlet for several weeks and then go to something else. Jen Vanek should be jumping up and down and being, yay. Incorporate workplace preparation activities, contextualization. So use the AI to help you, like with the math problems. Ask AI, how can I incorporate work preparation activities into this lesson? That's an easy way to get those work prep that are required by the WIOA funding into those lessons. You get all kinds of stuff, but pick and choose what you want. And then monitor their progress if they're using the AI appropriately, and make sure that they understand how to critically think, because AI will lie to you. Okay. Benefits, efficiency, engagement, and accessibility. And just keep in mind, if you're using it, you need to make sure all the students have access to the tools. You don't want to be excluding anybody. If you are in a position to help educators, you need to support them, and be sure you're protecting your learners' information. So turn off the data share, as we were hearing earlier, or use one that does not share the data. We do not want all that data going. Let them know. Let them know not to put anything personal in an AI. It will come back and show you a horse scooter somehow.
Grandkids images on Facebook. Yeah. So even the thought of sharing, you're very innocently sharing a lot of information on social media. However, now with the advent of artificial intelligence in the future, anything is possible. So we have to be very cautious about what we are sharing on social media. All right, just one moment. We're gonna get an eval here, but we got a question out here, a comment.
Whenever you had someone help out with their resume, did you remove their personal identifiers from the resume before you put it in so that Copilot, there's no risk?
That's a
It's
great.
university. So I work at Texas A&M University, so it is the university version of Copilot, and the security at the university is higher, so I was not concerned. If I was not using Copilot, I would have removed all the personal identifiers.
Glenda and I had that conversation because Copilot itself is more of a closed, it's yours. So don't use an open AI, right? For doing so that was a great idea about the resume. Don't use an open AI, a free AI to do something like a resume. So thank you. What was your name again?
Hannah.
That was a great question, Hannah, and it's a really good. So we don't want to put out anything that's treacherous. Woo, Hannah. Woo, Hannah. Thank you guys so much. I know it's a lot of information, but let's give it up for Dr. Glinda.
And Dr. Irene. Okay, thank you guys so much. I hope it was useful. I know it was kind of like the drinking from a fire hydrant. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. But at least try out Brisk. You can go try these tools out. There's a lot of other information on the handouts you can go explore. We just wanted to give you a taste of it and get you going. I appreciate you doing the evaluations. We do take those into consideration when we're revising our content because we want to make sure it's what we need. The open-ended feedback is especially precious to me. So if you're online, you can go to the bit.ly/coabe14. And if you're in the room, if you could just fill out those Scantrons in black or blue ink or pencil, I would appreciate it. And there's a link in the chat for the Scantrons.
Stay until the bitter end.
Who's staying till the end?
Bitter end.
I have to do AV help for Dylan.
There you
Good.
go.
I got to put that badge on, so I'll be here. Okay.
Travel safe.
Hopefully that storm will be out of here before you go. Bye, guys. Thank you so much.